Super strength one moment, invisibility the next, then suddenly you're controlling fire. What if every person with powers swapped abilities, not just once, but randomly all the time? Imagine a world where your superpowers are as unpredictable as the roll of a dice. Today, we dive into a world of chaotic and ever-changing superhuman potential. Welcome to Other Side, where today we dive into a world of chaotic and ever-changing superhuman potential. What if every person with powers swapped abilities at random? The idea of having superpowers is thrilling, controlling elements, bending reality, being stronger than the strongest. But what if that power wasn't yours to keep? In a world where powers were constantly swapping between those who possessed them, the very concept of a superpower would be turned on its head. First off, how would this happen? There must be some trigger, some rule to this randomness. It couldn't just be a free-for-all complete chaos. Maybe it's tied to time. Perhaps every hour, every day, people wake up with a new strength or ability. That could lead to a world where training becomes pointless. After all, if you're swapping abilities daily, monthly, there's no point in learning to control one for too long because you won't have it for long anyway. Or maybe it's emotion-based. Anger gives you telekinesis, happiness grants flight, fear, super speed. Now you've got a whole lot of meta-humans running around trying to keep their emotions in check. But what if there was no logic to it whatsoever? What if the swapping of abilities was completely random, like the roll of a dice or the shuffle of a deck of cards? Now we're talking true unpredictability. Now let's assume that anyone who had a power could control this power swap in some way. They could turn it off when they wanted to keep their power. Well, that seems fair enough, except for the fact that now you have a whole bunch of people willingly giving away their powers every 5 seconds. Can you imagine the kind of crazy situations that would lead to? Daily life in a world like this would be pure chaos. 1 minute, you're on your way to work using your laser eyes to help you focus on your Excel spreadsheet, and the next, you're stuck in traffic using your newfound super strength to push your car out of the way, only to come home and discover that you've lost your powers again. This constant change could make crime fighting and heroism an unpredictable game. Picture iconic heroes like Superman or Wonder Woman waking up one day to find they've swapped abilities. Superman might find himself entangled in invisible ink as he tries to thwart Lex Luthor's latest plot, while Wonder Woman could be caught off guard by the sudden appearance of super strength when she's needed to save the day. But here's the thing, training would become pointless. If you're swapping abilities willy-nilly, why bother honing your skills? A world where everyone has superpowers, yet no one can keep them for long enough to master them. Sounds like a world full of potential, also a world full of accidents. The concept of stability itself would be challenged. Countries would try to figure out if they should release their meta-humans to see if they could gain an advantage against other countries. What if your country's hero ends up with telepathic powers? And what if another country's villain ended up with the power to manipulate time? How would you stop him? Laws would need to be rewritten. Legal limits would need to be set on how much you could enhance yourself. Maybe it wouldn't be so much a problem if most people didn't really have that many powers. If most people just gained minor enhancements like increased intelligence, strength or speed, it might not be so catastrophic. You know, minor things like being able to bench press 500 pounds, or minor things like having a photographic memory, but it would definitely cause problems if some people ended up with major powers. Imagine if a terrorist ended up with the ability to manipulate gravity, or an insane serial killer ended up with the power of teleportation. It would be absolute pandemonium. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad if everyone lost their powers after a day or two. But what if some people held onto their powers for weeks or months? What if there was no rhyme or reason to it? People would plan their lives around their powers, knowing that they might lose them at any moment, making any plans over a week or so pretty much impossible. And it wouldn't just be individuals feeling the effects. Governments, corporations, even criminal organizations would have to constantly adapt their strategies and operations. Secret plans would fail due to the sudden loss of abilities. Training programs for new recruits would become a guessing game. Criminal trials would be thrown into disarray. Every day could bring a new set of challenges and opportunities. And then there's the economy. Businesses reliant on specific abilities would face daily uncertainty. A lawyer with the power of persuasion might find themselves out of a job when their ability swaps to, say, controlling pigeons. On the other hand, a new lucrative market might open up for those who can offer stability in an unstable world. Fortune tellers, psychics, and those who claim to understand the patterns of the power swaps could become surprisingly wealthy. Personal relationships would also be tested. Imagine confessing your love to someone only to swap abilities and forget about it the next day. Long-term planning would be near impossible. Marriage proposals, business deals, even casual dating would take on a surreal quality. Trust becomes a rare commodity. This constant state of flux would also impact the way we think. Knowing that your current abilities will be gone tomorrow could lead to a culture of instant gratification. Long-term projects would be abandoned in favor of immediate pleasures. After all, who cares about building a legacy when you might be a nobody with useless abilities tomorrow? And what if you were the one who swapped powers? What if you woke up tomorrow and realized that you'd exchanged abilities with someone else? What would you do? First, call your lawyer, call your therapist, call your best friend, call your mom, call whoever. If you were a supervillain, you might revel in the unexpected boost to your power. But what if you were a hero whose abilities have been swapped with those of a villain? Suddenly, you're faced with a moral dilemma of epic proportions. Your heroic instincts clash with the nefarious potential of your new abilities. What would you do? In such a world, every day could bring new challenges, new opportunities, new dangers. Life expectancy might go down dramatically. People who could manipulate time or had healing powers might become extremely valuable members of society. Some might seek to exploit the system, trying to hold on to powerful abilities for as long as possible. Others might try to predict the patterns of the power swaps, hoping to gain an edge in an unpredictable world. Would such a world be livable? Would society continue to function, or would it descend into chaos? It's hard to say. It depends on how quickly the human race could adapt to such a reality. In short, the implications are vast, complex, and utterly fascinating. It's important to remember that this is a hypothetical exploration. It's fun to imagine what would happen, but it doesn't reflect any real-world political stance. The purpose is to explore the boundaries of our imagination, to dive into scenarios that challenge our understanding of the world. So let us know what you think. How would you fare in a world where your superpowers are as unpredictable as the flip of a coin? How do you think society would evolve? What kind of challenges would you face? Share your thoughts, opinions, and experiences in the comments below. Your voice matters, and together we can shape these thought experiments into rich, engaging narratives. Also, if this wild, unpredictable reality has you questioning destiny, wondering about fate and free will, hit that like button and subscribe to Other Side for more mind-bending explorations into alternate worlds. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the infinite possibilities of the multiverse. Until next time, this is Other Side, taking you beyond the limits of imagination.